Hey guys, it's Goosebumps Completionist bringing another book review, and since this is one of my all-time favorite books from my childhood, and I recently acquired this, I decided to go ahead and reread it and review it on the channel for you guys, and that is book 61 from the classic series, I Live in Your Basement. I just love this book so much. It's so refreshing towards the end of the classic series Goosebumps. I definitely feel that if the Goosebumps series ended here and then Series 2000 happened, I think this would have been a great transition book. Honestly, this might be out of place in the classic series. Maybe they could have put this in the first book as Series 2000. I think that this one goes really dark, very scary imagery, and it's really gross out. And it's pushing that Series 2000 message of gross out, body horror. That's what this book represents. Especially the last couple of books in the series. I remember The Blob That Ate Everyone was teetering on that. Not so much The Haunted School, even though that book, for what I remember, was great. Werewolf Skin, kind of the same premise, gross out, body horror. Monster Blood 4, I've never read, so I couldn't tell you, but yeah, this book definitely felt out of place in the classic series, but it is such a good book. So let's get into the plot already. So the story centers around this kid named Marco. And to kind of not spoil what happens, because there is a pretty big twist at the end. You know, in R.L. Stine's fashion, he always gives a big twist in Goosebumps. So I'm going to try to tell this without spoiling the very ending. But basically, Marco goes outside playing with his friends one day, and his mom's a control freak. She's obsessed with Marco getting hurt, and that's one of her biggest fears as a mother. She doesn't want Marco going out and injuring himself. But Marco decides to go play baseball with his friend Gwynnie and his other friend, I think his name is Jeremy. And Gwynnie hits him in the head with a baseball bat. Causes a big old goose egg on his head. And then the story starts going into hints that maybe Marco's suffering from brain damage, or maybe he got hit on the head too hard, because now he's starting to have these hallucinations, these dreams involving this kid named Keith, who may or may not be living in his basement. And nobody believes him because Keith, to them, is a made-up person. And Marco starts to realize that nobody's believing him. Maybe he is going kind of crazy. And he keeps waking up from these dreams. He keeps realizing he keeps having these dreams. And it takes him to a new situation, a new different problem throughout the story each time. And it's slowly revealed that these changes from the beginning, it starts to change like the roles of the characters. So like Gwynnie, for example, was his friend in the beginning of the book, and then he realizes that Gwynnie's his sister. And a lot of bits and pieces he thought he remembered was actually false memories that his brain put together because he got hit in the head, and he's remembering it all wrong. And then it comes kind of towards the end of the book where, you know, this type of situation keeps happening, and for the first time we start seeing some crazy body horror. And it comes in the form of a character basically pulling themselves inside out. And it doesn't shy away from giving that description in the pages, and it'll really creep you out. This is a very creepy story. Just imagining, like, basically this thing on the cover is what it's supposed to look like when you're turned inside out. That's what this story's about. And Marco gets panicked because he feels that he's going to end up being a slave to whatever this thing is, whatever it may be. There's a point where it could be this person, or this person it's actually a monster kind of situation. You'll find yourself questioning who's really the monster. And then it gets to the very end, and then there's a big plot twist, like Goosebumps always does. And it turns out that the entire book was a false memory of one particular character. And there's, at the very end, there's a jaw-dropping scene for this one character when it's revealed that they are something that we thought they weren't, and another character is something we thought they weren't. And this one character has to deal with seeing this monster turn inside out. And it's completely gross, and it's just really creepy, and then the story ends. So, basically this book is about injury. And I know that Goosebumps tries not to play on things that can happen in real life, but a head injury can happen in real life, and I think that's probably why this book is so good. Because when Stein writes books, usually he tries to write them like these things can't happen, but he gave a realistic idea in this book where if you get a head injury, you can start to hallucinate and imagine things that aren't real, and you can have false memories. And I think that fear and that human emotion we have about losing parts of ourselves and losing our memories is definitely present in this book. And it's almost like the main character loses who he is, and then he has to rediscover it at the very ending. It's a fantastic written book, and it's such a simple premise. All it is about a kid that gets hit on the head with a baseball bat, and it goes throughout his journey trying to figure out who he is. And great book. Great book. The imagery is there. Let's talk about some scary scenes, some highlights of the book. This girl named Gwenny, there's a scene involving Gwenny that comes out of, like, you don't see it coming, and when it happens, this is the first time you're going to see this in this book, you're going to be scared. I mean, it is outright petrifying to imagine this going on. The kid Keith, throughout the book, very creepy. The mom is kind of even eerie herself. She seems like too robotic. She seems almost too cookie cutter. But then again, you know, it's a Goosebumps book. The parents are kind of the background scenery to a story. But yeah, it's very disturbing. It's almost like it's like that movie with Tobey Maguire and Reese Witherspoon where they get sucked into a TV, Pleasantville. And it's almost like things are too perfect and too ideal. It's not quite like that, but imagine that feeling that something feels off about this mom. Like, she would seem like a character in Pleasantville. Very weird. Like I said, it's very, very gross out scenery. You're going to see some descriptive stuff talking about some people pulling themselves inside out. It is creepy. It is gross. And no wonder they never made this into an episode in the original series. I think it might have been pushing a little too far out there with the limits of what they were allowed to do at the time. But I think they could definitely adapt it these days. This definitely would have fit the budget, but they probably would have had to like tone this down back in the 90s for the subject matter. But yeah, I think you guys will get really creeped out with this. I think you guys will really love this. It's like a blend of, it's some suspense in there, but it's mostly descriptive horror. It's mostly body horror and a shock value. The shock value really sells this book for me, and I think most people who would probably read it. The shock value is definitely there and will shock you. Now, do I have any negatives with the book? Not really. You know, I did get kind of confused with the very ending. I thought that there was a continuity error, but I really think that Stein did a great job tying together this memory loss concept and made it less confusing. You probably would have to reread the second to last chapter to really understand what happened. But if you reread it, it makes sense. The first time you're going to read it, you might be like, well, this sounds like a continuity error. This just sounds weird. But if you reread it, you'll be fine. This book is a very easy book to burn through. You will get through it quick. You will love it. So I don't think I have anything negative to say. So if I had to rate it out of 5 stars from 0 to 5, I'm going to give this a perfect 5. Great entry-level Goosebumps book for people who like shock value and like body horror. If you like more descriptive imagery, if you like more mature themes in Goosebumps, this will definitely be up your wheelhouse. So highly recommend this book. And let me know what you guys thought about I Live in Your Basement. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you next time.